Okay.
And once they come on live, I don't get all that.
No, Tasha's over there she's making it viewable for public, and so you'll just have to do a refresh and it'll start showing up.
I can get out of this.
Yeah, close that. Whenever she gets coming up, we'll be ready.
Alright, you ready? Good evening and welcome to our July board meeting. We appreciate everyone coming out in the rain. As I was saying, it's kind of like a hurricane out there, the way that rain's coming in, but I know we need it. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask for a motion to adopt our agenda, please.
So moved.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We will move to our reflections, and this month we will have Miss Angela Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sometimes when we realize life is lifing and we do things that are not ordinary, we come to realize that we are not a perfect people. And sometimes we have to adjust our focus so we can be the person that we're intended to be. And to help me do that, I found an inspirational poem by Mother Teresa called Do It Anyway. People are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Be good, do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give the world the best you've got anyway. You see, in the final analysis, it is between you and your God. It was never between you and them anyway. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will move into our Pledge of Allegiance, and we have some special guests with us this evening. I think we have one that wasn't able to make it, and then we have Zoe Golden, Josiah Robinson, and Kingston Thurston. Is any of those here? Come up front. And is this Zoe? Zoe. Hi, Zoe. All right, we'll all stand, please. See our flag over here? You tell us when to start.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we have something for you.
Good job.
Good job.
Here's a certificate, and if you'll turn around, Miss Crystal's going to take a picture.
Thank you. Good job.
All right, our next order of business is a resolution of esteem for Miss Russell. And this time I'm going to pass this over to one of her dear friends to be able to read.
So if Debbie's family and friends would like to come up front, please.
And friends.
Before I do the resolution, I had the privilege not only to be Debbie's friend, but she was my teacher assistant in the year of, I made fun of one day. Somebody said they didn't know they had photography during that year. In 1991, 92, Miss Russell was my assistant. And it was wonderful because we had two teachers in the room, right? It wasn't an assistant situation. And so I brought that for y'all. You might know some of those kids in that class, but it was a great year. And that was the year she decided she was going to go back to school to get her teaching degree. And I begged her to go part-time so she could just stay with me. But y'all had a plan, didn't you, Frank? All right, here we go. Whereas our Heavenly Father, in His infinite love and wisdom, saw fit to call home Deborah Debbie Noe Russell on March 13th, 2026. And whereas for dedication to Montgomery County Schools for 30 years as a teacher, or a living testament of her integrity and skill. And whereas her loss will be deeply felt not only by those with whom she served, but also throughout her entire community and county. Now therefore be it resolved that the Montgomery County Board of Education goes on record in expressing a sense of real loss and regret in her passing. That a copy of this resolution be conveyed to her family as an indication of our deep sympathy, and that a copy of the same be filed as a part of the permanent minutes of the Board of Education. Stop that.
I know Debbie was a special person, and she fought cancer for 9 years. Didn't complain. And I told her that today. I said, I've questioned a whole lot of things in my life, and doubted a whole lot more. I said, but there's 4 things that I'm sure of, no question whatsoever. I said, number one, we didn't choose what time we were put into this world. That was chosen for us. I said, number 2, we didn't even get to pick the family we were put into, when it was rich or poor, black or white. That was chosen for us. I said, when you die and how you die has been determined. And she said, Frank, I don't know about that. She said, doctors have proven you can do things for the rest of your life. I said, baby, I don't believe that. That's not my belief. And she said, Frank, be real. Doctors have proven that we can do things for the rest of our life. I said, baby, if that fact is true, you explain to me why that 5-year-old child died in that car. Innocent soul didn't get a chance to live a life. I said, is there a point in time you leave this world? And then I said, you'll go nowhere when your time gets here. And when that time arrives, no amount of under $1,000 to keep you on this world, you're going to leave. And I said, as far as I'm concerned, looking at people throughout this world, and I try to teach my children the same thing. There's not but 2 kinds of people in this world. They either have a good spirit or an evil spirit. And you need to keep yourself away from those that have a good spirit. And Debbie have a lot of good spirit people around her. And she did. She called it without complaint. Every time we go to the hospital for 9 years, once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, sometimes 7 or 8 days in the hospital, Debbie never complained. Never complained. She said, I'm just glad it was me and not one of my children.
She was an amazing friend and educator, and I know a mom too. And wife.
Yeah, she loved everybody.
That's right, she did. And she never left you and she didn't say, I love you.
Yep. Y'all may carry the
We think I'm good as a crowd.
Thank y'all for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Y'all are family. It's all good on you.
Don't know anybody but
All right. Thank you for that. We'll move on to Mr. Almond.
I'm going to make a motion to adopt the resolution as stated. Right.
We don't normally do that.
Huh?
We don't normally do
Oh,
that.
you don't normally do that? Okay. Well, to formally adopt it, you motion and then approve it, but.
Okay.
I make the motion to formally adopt it.
All right. Second, all those in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Each year, we go through a nomination and selection process by voting here at the central office, but they're nominated at the school level of various employees of the year, just to kind of honor the hard work that all of our employees do. And so we're going to recognize some folks this evening. Our teacher assistant of the year is Miss Lisa Smith. Miss Lisa Smith here. Our auxiliary services employee of the year, that's Mr. Danny Parks.
The rain has.
They don't want, some of these folks did not want to be recognized, so I'll just kind of throw that out there. Our bus driver of the year is Miss Amy Steele. Oh, for three, it's not good. Data manager of the year, Miss Christy Buckman. I saw her. Congratulations.
Good job.
Our child nutrition employee of the year is Miss Susan Lassiter. Our office support person of the year is Miss Tara Pollard. I've already been told she's not going to be here, so who knows that one. And our custodian of the year is Mr. Calvin Richardson. Huh? Calvin Christian, I said it backwards, I'm sorry. Well, we got one. So we also honor, we do a monthly employee of the month. And so this month here at the central office, we always honor a central office person in August or in the summer months. Because school's out. So this month's employee of the month is Miss Felicia Ward. And I know she's here. Congratulations. And Felicia does a lot of work, and I bother her all the time. So, go, girl.
Good job.
And the next one.
And she just walks right on. You got one more.
Joanne's going to do
Oh,
that.
Joanne.
Did you come take a picture, huh?
Okay, I'll step back down.
All right. Well, good evening. I have one additional special recognition tonight, and on behalf of our school system, we have recognized Mrs. Maria Inman as our North Carolina Council of Teachers of Mathematics and the NCBPI Outstanding Elementary Mathematics Teacher for the 26-27 school system. So she gets a free membership to the organization, and she gets to go to the conference. She was nominated by her principal, and then a committee here at Central Office chose her for this honor. And on the even years, we get to nominate an elementary teacher. So next year, we'll nominate a secondary teacher. So we're super proud of you, and just by a point of personal privilege, I would just brag. She lived with her students from 2nd to 3rd grade this year at Green Ridge. Last summer, she worked super hard in Foundations of Math, which is a really rigorous course. And I know Ms. Dunn could probably talk a lot about what a team player she is, and how she just ignites their imagination for math in 3rd grade. So congratulations, Ms.
Sorry, I passed that off to Joanne, but she knew more about it than I did. So
Okay.
congratulations.
I got the brag.
Good job.
Thank you.
Maria. Congratulations. I feel like I knew you when you were a baby.
Tell me about your classroom, Maria.
Tell about your
Small class. Tell me about your classroom.
I have about what I do in my classroom. Oh, my classroom. Let's say classroom. I have my grandmother's classroom on that she received at Green Ridge when it was a high school. She graduated in 1936. Amazing. And I also have a perfect attendance where she received perfect attendance at Green Ridge High School.
Wow.
Amazing. And I'm gonna cry.
I have a tissue.
Yeah, we're always prepared. I was really close to her and she's been gone.
She's so proud of you.
Ooh, this is a weepy.
That's the rain.
Yeah, it's the rain. That's what it is. It's the rain. All right. With no one signing up for the public comment period, we will move into our administrative reports and discussion items, with the first one being Dr. Ward. Teacher working conditions.
Good evening, board members, community members, staff. I don't think we have any parents left in the room. I think I got everybody. All right, so we're going to talk about the teacher working conditions survey. I'm just going to give you some information on the teacher working conditions survey, and then at the end, I'll share some information. This collects anonymous voices of educators across North Carolina to determine the strengths of improvement for schools and districts. All classroom teachers, post-certified and non-certified, and licensed school-based educators, teachers, counselors, instructional facilitators, media coordinators are some that are part of it. Those taking the survey will receive an email inviting them to complete the survey from DPI. If for some reason the teacher does not have a code assigned to them, then the school teacher working conditions survey coordinator will reach out to DPI to provide one. The survey takes about 20 minutes. It's given every 2 years. So 24 was the last one, the one we just had, obviously, this year for 26. Teacher working conditions coordinators assigned at each school. Typically, it's someone that does not complete the survey. You don't want the principal or the assistant principal to give those out either because of, confidentiality, because there are questions that are asked about leadership. Each school-based personnel is provided anonymous code. That's that code that they will get in that invite from DPI. The survey is usually completed in the month of March, and DPI pushes out all the teacher working conditions survey information. The state always pushes for 100% completion at all schools, and in Montgomery County, we had 100% completion at all schools. What's included in the survey? So there's questions about leadership, the school and the teacher, managing student conduct, safety and well-being, facilities and resources, community support and involvement, professional learning supports and development, instructional practices, supports and needs, time, and non-discrimination. And so how are these topics aligned to teachers working every day? So facilities and resources will now measure whether the school's physical environment is sufficient for quality of instruction, but it also measures it for safety and cleanliness. It asks those questions. Professional learning now asks about the top 3 needs for areas of professional development, because as the district, we're supposed to offer kind of like an IEP, personalized professional development for teachers. So in other words, one teacher might want professional development on EC, while another teacher might want more professional development on curriculum. Instructional supports and practices are now about top 3 needs for support in the NC educator, and through the NESIS process, and that's the evaluation process. Teacher leadership is now aligned to standard 1 of teacher evaluations. That's teachers leading in the classroom and the school.
What types of questions are included? There's basic demographics that are not identifiable. There's Likert scale rating, and it's going to go from strongly disagree to strongly agree. There's ranking, there's multiple choice, and there's open-ended. They all just used to be a Likert scale, but now they are a culmination of different types of questions. What is the validity and reliability of the survey process? So the survey questions are created by DPI based on extensive feedback from educators in North Carolina and national experts. Each individual question addresses specific and relevant aspects of a teacher's working conditions. The following activities were part of the survey revision process. They facilitated external feedback sessions with teachers, principals, charter leaders, CAOs, and superintendents. They deployed an external survey with the end count of 2,416 that included item by item review and open-ended items. They met with other state leaders and national experts to understand best practices for large-scale teacher surveys. They leveraged an internal DPI working group and NC Teacher Working Conditions Advisory Board, and they worked with an external survey methodology expert to conduct rigorous NC Teacher Working Conditions survey revision data analyses, including using item response theory to screen items within the existing 12 domains and identify floor and ceiling effects, low correlation with domain and IRT-based item fits, selecting from screened items to achieve high overall reliability and ensure domain coverage. In other words, statistics stuff. Using data from the most recent survey, DPI will work with external survey methodology experts. And so, like I said, you can tell that they've done more research and looked back at things over the years, because when I was a teacher, it was just the Likert scale, and it was not as intensive and as, to me, now the questions are more relatable, and you would glean more information from them. That's my opinion from the face off of back 25 years ago. School results example. So here's one of the questions. Overall, my school is a good place to work and learn. So you have your state, this is us for this question. So you have your state percentage average, your district average, and then the school average. And then, so this shows you how the school meets with the district and the district meets with the state. Now, keep in mind, the teacher working conditions survey is mostly about the school, right? It's not the district. So these are questions of these teachers at their individual school in March. Now, you go, well, how do you get the district percentage? Because that's an overall culmination of all the schools put together. That's their averages, okay? So what you see is the district percentage is an average of all the schools. That school column right there is just whatever school that I pulled it from. Okay. And I'll show you in a minute how it looks. So here's just a screenshot. Again, overall, my school is a good place to work and learn. This is just the district versus the state right here. And this is from this year. Well, I'm going to have it pulled up over here for you. I've already pulled up the district. So I'll go back and show you. When this comes up, it comes up with every single district. So up here, you type in and search for your district. And this is open to anybody. All you have to do is Google North Carolina Teacher Working Conditions Survey, and boom, it comes right up for you. And so all I did was pull for the district. And you can see that's the first question that I showed you. Atmosphere of trust and mutual respect in my school. I feel comfortable rating issues, concerns that are important to me. Right? These are some of the questions. I wouldn't want to work in any other school. I feel loyal to this school. I would recommend the school to my parents. So one of the things that I want you to keep in mind if you go back and look through district and or school results, you also have to keep in mind how many teachers are in that building, right? So if we have, and Keisha's in here, so I'm gonna pick on her, if we have somebody like Mel Gilead, she doesn't have a lot of teachers, right? And so I think it was 9 last year. So if out of 9 teachers, there's somebody who disagrees with things that Keisha has done or the way that things are running, and they go disagree, 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 disagree. 1 out of 9 is what percentage?
11.
So it's going to look like 11% of her school doesn't agree with anything, and that's one person. So when you look at the results, I want you to keep in mind, if you go into individual schools, keep in mind the size of the school, how many teachers are at the school. Same thing for districts. You know, our results are probably going to look a whole lot different than the Charlotte Met, because they've got a million people running around out there. Does anybody have any questions?
I do. So what you just said, it is only certified teachers that get that code. Is that correct?
It's certified staff. So your instructional facilitators. Yeah, so
Right.
we'll go back.
So yeah. So what if you have a teacher that is working on their certification? Do they get that code as well?
So, okay, so anyone that's hired as a certified teacher gets that code.
Okay.
Yeah. Whether they're permit to teach, whether they're residency, whether they're initial license or continuing.
And if they're, I know it's not called visiting faculty,
EPI?
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because they're considered a certified staff. Yeah. So DPI will pull from your Infinite campus pretty
Right.
much.
And that's how they get that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Have they created one yet for principals and AD? It's like I remember hearing that they were going to do a working condition survey for principals and AD at some point. They have not done that yet.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome. I will. I'll go to.
So our next is beginning teacher support plan. Ms. Hamilton.
Yeah. No, I think you're okay. Yep. Good evening, everyone. If you don't know me, I'm Jordan Hamilton. I'm the beginning teacher coordinator for Montgomery County Schools. And I just want to start off and say we're super excited because next week all our new teachers get to come for our orientation. That will be here. And then we also have our new staff orientation that will be at the high school. So bringing that up with our beginning teacher support plan, we did have to make sure that we added something to it. It was on page 2. I don't know if y'all have it, not on the PowerPoint, but in your folders. We just had to make sure that we included the residency licensed teachers, the initial licensed teachers, permit to teach, and emergency license. If you're a first-year teacher, your first 3 years, you're in a beginning teacher program. It doesn't matter what type of licensure that you have. We just have to make sure that we have it in our plan. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about Montgomery County. Oh, this does them out. Montgomery County's beginning teacher plan, but also why we have to do this is the state policy. TCEDO 16 staff policy states that all public school units shall implement a beginning teacher support program. This is a approved 3-year program for beginning teachers. So everybody has to do this. This is why we follow this. In Montgomery County schools, our goal for this program is to support beginning teachers. We want to make sure we're improving instructional effectiveness. We want to increase teacher confidence. We also want to promote teacher retention. And we also want to assist teachers in earning a continuing professional license. So like you see at the bottom, this is what is included in our 3-year program. Teachers that may have an initial license, they may have a residency license, emergency license, or permit to teach. They are all included in this 3-year program. With that being said, in the plan, we have to do an orientation. So beginning teachers have to go through a 10-day orientation before they can be with children. During that orientation, we have our new staff, that'll be next week, and we'll have our beginning teacher orientation. August 3rd is when teachers come back. They'll also do their school-based orientation, so they're gonna get a lot of information before they're with students. During this orientation, we go over Montgomery County Schools mission, vision, core values. We go over the strategic plan. We talk about the teaching standards. We also go over the evaluation process, standard course of study, ethics and professional conduct, seclusion and restraint. And I'll also say that here at the district level, a director, assistant superintendent, they all are a part of this orientation for the new staff and the BTs, and they go over things that they do here for the district. So I think that's a huge asset for us. BTs get to put a face with people. So I really appreciate our district for that. The working conditions, we make sure that all of our teachers are in the licensure area that they should be, that they have a mentor early on, and that mentor is either on the same grade level with them, the same content area, and limited prep, limited non-instructional duties, no extracurricular activities unless it's in writing. So they can coach, it just has to be approved. Our mentor program, every beginning teacher has a mentor. They also have a lead mentor. That's the instructional facilitator at their school. They have school admin support. They also have a central office support, that's me, that I get to go into their classrooms. They get to contact me anytime they need help with things. I know as beginning teachers, they're super nervous about who do we go to, what do we ask for? I'm like, just call them. I'll come, I'll help you, I'll do whatever you want me to do. So I definitely try to build that relationship with them day one. We also work with UNC Charlotte with a coaching support system. This is a huge asset, I think, for Montgomery County schools. There's like a one person who comes in their classroom. They can co-teach with them. They can help them plan a lesson plan, all types of different things. UNC Charlotte also offers professional development with us. So that's a plus with them too. And they offer free praxis workshops for teachers. To be a mentor, you need to be proficient or higher on your evaluation. You also have to be trained. The 21st century mentor training is in NESIS, that we make sure that they're trained before they start mentoring beginning teachers. Principals need to have documentation on why they want this person to mentor. We do let principals pick who they think is best for that teacher. And then their responsibilities, they have to meet with them a certain amount of hours each month. They have a mentor log that gets stored here each month. They'll get the principal sign off on it, the mentor and the mentee all sign off on it to make sure that these things are actually happening in the building. They also help them with their professional development plan, the PDP. Also, we try to make sure that they can go observe each other. I know that's a huge thing to let beginning teachers see other veteran teachers, but we want the mentors to build that relationship. And principals are awesome about letting beginning teachers go and watch other teachers. So that's a huge thing too. And like I talked about before, beginning teachers, they have to do a PDP. They work with their principal and their mentor. They talk about the annual goals, the growth, professional learning activities. They do this at the beginning of the year. They do this in the middle of the year and end of the year, and the mentor and beginning teacher have to sign off on this. Professional development topic. We have monthly beginning teacher meetings. We talk about classroom management, family engagement, technology, professionalism. We try to get different people in the district. Like I know curriculum will help with some different types of professional development. Sometimes I'll send a survey out to beginning teachers and let them see what they need more help with. We also work with P-TECH if they want help with ML students, AIG, EC, classroom management. We can send beginning teachers to that and they can get extra professional development. And UNC Charlotte also offers professional development. And accountability. Beginning teachers are observed 4 times out of the year, 3 times by an admin and 1 time is by peer observation, and that we try not to make that a mentor because we don't want them to see them as, we want them as non-evaluated. Also, we have to participate in the beginning teacher support monitoring cycle. So all of these things with evaluations, PDP, they have to be done in a certain time frame. We do we do the Title II audit, state reporting requirements, and the annual peer review process. And all of this is stored in HR, so we have all their files. I'd just like to say that we are very committed into supporting our beginning teachers. We want to mentor them, give them professional development, feedback, because we want them to remain in this profession. I will say a huge thing that I like to use when I'm going and recruiting people to come here is that we're small, but it's so nice that like the beginning teacher coordinator, they know who that is, that I can go into their classroom. They know who the curriculum director is. They know that superintendent can walk right in the classroom. They just know who they can contact for whatever support that they may need. So I think that's a huge selling point for Montgomery County Schools with getting people to come here. Oh yeah. Thank you very much.
Jordan, how many new teachers are you expecting next week?
Next week we'll have 10 BT1s. We also will have some international teachers join us. So next week will be like probably 12 or 13 people will be in there with us. We have late hires throughout the year. So we have about a total of 13 beginning teachers in their first year. Overall, we have 29 beginning teachers in our district.
Within 3 years.
Yes, but I'm sure we'll get more. It's not the first day of school yet, but I'm sure we'll have more.
Right.
Do our mentors get compensated for helping?
We're working on that. We're trying to figure out a way that we can compensate them because in the past we have not been able to. But this year we do want to try to compensate them. We're working on a way where maybe one mentor has 2 beginning teachers. So give them something. They deserve something. It's a lot.
Yeah, we funded the one-to-one mentor-mentee program out of the TSL grant, but we lost that grant. And Dr. Warwick and I have been talking about how we can fund that program, kind of like what Ms. Hamilton's talking about, doing 2 mentees to 1 mentor, and then being compensated as a component of our Title II plan that we're drafting to the state as we speak.
So Jordan, just quick observations.
Yeah.
So when you look at the teacher evaluation requirements, you have those structured observations throughout the year. It would be nice if there were structured like co-teaching lessons implemented for the teachers. That way, throughout the fall semester, you're going to get observed twice.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if somebody co-taught with me twice,
right,
or more than that. So like having that type of structured support would be nice, and something that I also think would be, I know you have it informally, but like a structured check-ins.
Yeah.
Like if you're a BT1, like who's meeting with them after the first day of school?
Right.
Like who's meeting with them after the first week of school, the first month of school, the first semester? And then how are we like compiling that information to see if there are trends and gaps that all BT1s are saying the same thing?
Right.
So how do we need to tweak how we support them and hopefully then move the needle on teacher retention? So just a couple observations.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, Mr. Roberto, the other thing that we do have monthly weekly meetings, and so we can have conversations. And actually, the midpoint one is going to be set up as a whole. What's been working, what's not working, and what do you need help with. The other thing that Jordan and I decided to do was to actually substitute training in during our second day of BC orientation, because that day is going to be all about classroom management, relationship building, and then curriculum. And so we thought that it was a good idea to have them in all that, because those are all the things that they will need. And so that's how we're structuring the substitute training this year.
How many substitutes are you going to have?
Well, so far we've got what, 5 to sign up with, but I've been looking at about 8 more people.
I'm glad you're doing that for substitutes. It used to be we just took the folks, and if they had one, they could work.
Are there any other questions for Ms. Hamilton? We will be voting on this plan. It is under the consent agenda, letter D. So just wanted her to share some information about it before we voted. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so we're moving on to the Summer Leadership Conference update, and switching over to have one of us talk about that? So Miss Taylor has
Well, both of
volunteered.
us went,
Okay.
so we're gonna kind of share since it was 5 days of it. So, I'm gonna talk about the financial oversight and fraud prevention. I'm just gonna, you know how extensive you've been, so you know it's an all day, it's a 4 hour.
Just the highlight.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna highlight. But I was asking her, I think they put all the documents in the Dropbox, but I'm not sure if it's in there if you didn't register.
You may have to share with us.
Yeah.
Pull down and share.
Yeah. So, anyway, we listened to a presentation about financial accountability and the consequences of physical misconduct within school systems. The speaker emphasized the importance of cooperating with oversight agencies, maintaining transparent public records, and implementing corrective action plans. They also highlighted a specific red flag, such as financial staff who never wants to take time off or refuse to share access to records, warning that failure to act can lead to criminal liability, loss of community confidence, and state takeover. They also gave us a case study with the Marlboro County. I don't know if you guys, yeah. So they made a mess.
They shouldn't be Winston-Salem. I mean,
Well, they might have been in the rooms.
Yeah. So wow. I won't talk about it because it's depressing. But just since you guys already, heard about it, you know how easy it is to come to get in those kind of predicaments. Also, they said that, even though these were publicized, that there's probably twice as many that has not been publicized. So the theme of the day was stay out the paper. So they were just making sure that we understood how easy it is. This was really reckless in Marlboro. I don't know what they were thinking. They must have thought everybody was asleep. But anyway, they talked about internal controls and board responsibilities, and the core principle, which I think is very important for us to remember, that it is the public's money. It's not our money. We're not generating it. We're actually responsible for it. The roles definitions, the board oversight. Our responsibilities is to oversight and set standards. The superintendent and the financial officer establish controls. The principals and the administrators managing budgets and compliance. The recommended controls was to separate internal audit departments from financial departments to ensure independent oversight. Do random audits of schools and agencies throughout the year. Strict travel reimbursements and purchase approval systems, and rotating audit firms or lead auditors to maintain independence. In other words, they told us that we should not have the same auditor year after year, that we should alternate just to make sure. Yes. And then they talked about the board policy strategies. Of the physical management set zero tolerance codes of conduct and conflict of interest policies. Reporting mechanisms, establish anonymous hotlines potentially managed by a third party to report mismanagement. Ensure robust anti-retaliation protection for whistleblowers. And training requirements should be annual trainings, ethics, reporting procedures, and fraud prevention. And periodic training should be budget management and internal controls. And the best practices was to have an active overview, to read budget reports before meetings, and do not treat approval as just a formality. And they also told us that we should have monthly reports from the financial office. That way you keep control over what's going on before it becomes a problem. And to treat vague answers as a red flag when it asked about fund balances and inline spending vacancies. And that was Monday. You got Tuesday.
Yeah, I got mine.
Yeah.
But on Monday also, we talked about doing a budget. Actually,
Oh,
how
yeah.
the budget works in Raleigh, the different levels that it goes to, and we came to have a better understanding why it has taken 2 years for us to get a budget.
Yes.
Because, and what I really liked about the conference is they gave us the opportunity to participate, and we got with members from other districts, and we actually created a budget. And if the person who had the responsibility, who was in the big chair, had the responsibility of getting all the budget items together and then go to the next table and see how the budget come together, because one represents the House, one represents the Senate, and then to see how we could all come together to get a budget, to create a budget. That was really interesting because it helped us to understand how a budget is actually done in Raleigh, actually.
Yeah, through the Senate and the House, how they actually work together, how they actually, there is a committee, but at the end of the day, the big chair, it all comes down to what hopefully took from their committee to bring to the table to share. So that was very interesting. We got to meet people from other districts, and we got, like you said, find out why it took so long, because everybody has their point of interest, what they think should happen in the budget, and it doesn't always agree.
And on Tuesday, we did performance services and finding your voice and advocating for public schools. We had a storyteller there named Donna Washington, and she did a very good job. She told us a story that was, in essence, about 30 minutes long. And she said, when you go to your legislators for your district, that is not what you want to do. You do not want to tell them a 30-minute story. And she told us how to bring it down, 3 points, 3 main points. And that is who you are, what district you represent, what it is that you want, and how much money you need. She said that's the only thing they want to hear. They don't want to hear your long, drawn-out story about your county and what's going on in the county. And so they say, she said to know your audience, because it's an absolute must when it comes to communicating campaigns, and to consider all of the languages, and to identify your school's district's core brand, then be consistent and persistent in talking about it in a very short period of time. That was Tuesday. You're going to do
Okay,
Wednesday.
so the summary for Wednesday, we went back into fiscal monitoring of budget oversight, and I'm going to give you some of even this condensed version. You can see that it was a very comprehensive conference, because you guys been, so you know how intense it can get. But when they talked about the fiscal monitoring structure, some boards, depending on the size, should have a actual finance committee, so that it doesn't come down to this meeting when we're discussing all the financial parts. But if there's a financial committee, they will go have monthly financial meetings with the finance department. So when it comes back to us, we have an idea of what's going on. You know, they talked about it doesn't always have to be. It can be an email sent out saying what's going on. So then whenever we come to this meeting, it's just a report. It's not a discussion. They talked about the essential monthly financial reports again. Budget amendments should be required when an original budget resolution needs adjustment due to shifting revenues. DPI allotments, they say, can be shifted up to 40 or 50 times a year in a fiscal year. So the best practices include specific rationales for every amendment to prevent becoming an out of balance budget. Purchase authorization. Superintendents have specific spending thresholds, some 10, some 30, some 50, require board approval. Federal spending threshold is $350,000, but state thresholds often start at $90,000, typically apply first. So you have to go by the state and then by the federal. But then, well, first by the local, what we give, I think it's 50 for us. Yeah, 50,000 for us. Financial status reports should be fixed in a snapshot and available funds. And this is something that we should know all the time, so it won't be a growing issue, an underlying issue. Keeping journals being detailed for more board level monitoring can be hundreds of pages, but we can break it down into reports by departments. They talked about audit and fund balance management. LEAs must submit comprehensive external audits to the local government commission by October 31st of every year. Boards should evaluate auditor performance annually and bid contracts periodically, which was kind of a reiteration of not having the same auditor every year. The alignment does the budget advance our district mission and strategic plan. Our budget should be matching what we're saying. It should not be one, our budget is doing one thing over here, but our strategic plan is saying something else. And that was Wednesday. Yes, Thursday.
On Thursday, we did, after the I, the board's role and policy implementation, and strategic governance for reaching high student achievement with AI. So, in monitoring your local board policy, the information that is helpful to measure outcomes is academic outcomes, behavioral and disciplinary data, social and emotional indicators, stakeholder perception, operational data, equity trends, and comparison data. Achieving educational excellence involves 8 pillars: preparing each student for their next phase in life, revere public school educators, enhance public caregiver and community support, ensure healthy, safe, and secure learning environments, optimize operational excellence, lead transformative change, celebrate the excellence in public education, and galvanize champions to fully invest in the support of public education. AI adoption in school is growing. AI use is now mainstream. 67% of educators say that using AI in their work over the last year versus 10% in 2023. Teachers find AI valuable. 90% of educators say generative AI is valuable. AI saves teachers time. 68% of educators who use AI say it saves them 1 to 5 hours per week. Teacher confidence is rising. 4 in 5 educators report feeling confident in using AI in instructionally effective ways. 2025 State of Education Teacher District Leadership. 80% of responding district ed tech leaders said they're in districts with general AI initiatives. While skepticism and concerns of AI adoption heightened public concern for student data privacy, 68% oppose sharing student data, including grades, with AI. Public support dropping since last year. 49% support teachers using AI to prepare lesson plans compared to 62% last year. Parental support around use of AI is nuanced. 58% of teachers of teens are okay with their teen using AI chatbots for schoolwork, but 58% also not okay with teens using AI for emotional support or advice. Some teachers thinking, 71% of teachers worry AI weakens students' critical skills like writing, reading comprehension, and research. That's all for Thursday.
Okay, so on Friday, we had two parts. So they talked about school board governance and strategic evaluation session, which I think we actually did some of this on Thursday. We did a board evaluation. We have to evaluate ourselves and to see if we are actually doing the work that we have been charged to do as board members. We listened to a discussion regarding school board governance and the complexities of implementing new policies, specifically focusing on, the big phone regulation. That has been an ongoing conversation. Matter of fact, in my summer camp this year, I actually had a couple of students who told me, which I took with a grain of salt, that their teachers do let them use their phone in the classroom. When I started questioning them, however, they backed up off of it. so who knows? But anyway, that was one of the big things that the school board has been facing. They talked about this strategic plan alignment, saying that boards must engage in continuous dialogue regarding strategic plan at the mid-year and at the end of the year points. Key self-evaluation indicators for board members is the ability to locate the system's plan easily, understanding how to track progress and identify focus areas, knowing how board decisions specifically align with the plan. In other words, the plan should always be in our favor. So every decision we make in our meetings or in closed session is aligned with what we say we're going to do as a district. The superintendent and board evaluation. Superintendent evaluations. Instructions must reflect the goals and priorities identified in the strategic plan. In other words, we can't judge him outside of what we've asked him or her to do in the plan. The focus of accountability and objective metrics to remove personality-driven conflicts. Requires agreement on expectations, indicators, and rating scales across the governance team. The board self-evaluation, the NCSDA developed a 21-question tool that we took while we were in there and covering 7 categories, emphasizing that boards should model the same self-improvement behavior expected of teachers and principals and superintendents. The goal is to identify the gaps in communications or protocol and to set forward-looking goals. It talked about the meeting protocol for board behavior. It's essential to prevent long meetings and the redundant questioning. The challenges identified were showboating for media or public audience, asking questions on items that have already been explained in the agenda packet, the lack of decorum, shouting, physical altercation that was mentioned in a case study that they showed us. The potential solution is the chair using the point of order to control meetings, submitting questions to staff before the meeting to streamline discussions, and linking every agenda item back to a specific board goal.
Of course, in order to get the full flavor of what we enjoy, it would take more than this, but we just wanted to give you a small nugget of what we experienced, because there was a lot said and a lot of information. And the one on Friday also talked about building your board. This was the first year out of my 4 years on the board. This is my first year to be able to go to the summer leadership workshop. I know Cindy, Lynn, and Ann has been the other 3 years, but this is my first year. And I was so glad that I went because, as they say, knowledge is power. And we learned so much that it was you could take it all in and then go back to your room and actually think about some of the things they said. And the thing also on Friday was building your board with trust. The trust edge is about positive aspirations for gaining the competitive advantage when others confidently believe in you. In the case of trust, trust increases. As trust increases, there is more output, morale, retention, productivity, innovation, loyalty, and revenue. As trust was decreased, it's cost, problem, suspicion, attrition, time to market, stress, those negative things. But as trust increases, you will see a gradual increase. And we talked about the 8 pillars of trust, which is clarity, compassion, character, competency, commitment, connection, contribution, and consistency. And they put all of these up on the wall, and they asked everyone to look at the definition of each one of these and place on which board you thought there were problems. And oh my God, if you had read some of those things, because as I went around and was reading the board, my eyes were growing bigger, and I thought, oh my God, somebody said that. And then they asked us to talk about the things that people had posted on the board and what you could do to improve those things. And that was really helpful because as you would hear other people talk about their districts, you realize we're not so different. We're not so different. And we all have things that we can do better because at the end of the day, it's about the children. It's about the children always. But it was a good learning. Glad I had the opportunity to go. It was a lot of information. It was a lot of speakers, and I really enjoyed all of it. As I say, knowledge is power, and the more training you get, the better board member you can become.
Well, I appreciate you guys sharing that information with us.
It was great. Well, you know the atmosphere, anyway,
Yeah.
And it was even more charged this year. Wow.
So if you can, I'm gonna say, can you send us, like, pull that stuff down?
Yeah, I can pull it down because I was going to ask you if they sent it to all board members. They did not. If you didn't register, you didn't get it.
Are you talking about
we can share the drop?
Are you talking about the
drop?
No, they only sent it to those who were registered.
Yeah.
And but you can go in. I mean, I printed them all if y'all want copies.
That's what.
I would definitely want to look at that board evaluation too. That might be.
Oh yeah, that was 21 questions. Now it don't have to be those 21 questions,
right,
but
just
Ramona did say that she would work with us if we needed to come up with.
Are you talking about the test that we took?
Yeah.
Because I actually printed it out. I don't know if I bought it, but I actually printed it out. So I have a copy of those questions if you like for us to be able to do those.
We'll look at that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll email it to you.
Okay, perfect. All right, we are gonna move to the superintendent's update.
Well, these two ladies, thank y'all for your update, and it kind of segues into what I was going to talk about tonight. So they've already brought up about the state budget and how we've been without one for a pretty good while, but they did recently pass one. And as with anything that's done in our legislature, you have to kind of give it some time to read over it. I can't remember how many pages it was, but it was a lot. But I haven't read all of it. You can pull it down and it'll be some good sleeping, material. But you'll find little things inside the budget. But I just wanted to kind of talk just briefly about that. But like they were talking about, to garner support for various things that the different legislators are trying to do. Some stalled bills get magically put in at that midnight hour into the budget bill. And I highlighted a couple of those that may have some impact in the Friday update. If you hadn't read it, then please read the Friday update from last week. There were a couple in there. One's talking about teacher licensure. One's talking about math competency. these things were snuck in there, and we're trying to kind of read through those things, and we're getting guidance from NCDPI, so we'll kind of flesh all that stuff out as we hear more information about that. But all that being said, we are very thankful that the state passed a budget. We're thankful on behalf of our staff members who are going to see raises. All state employees are going to get a raise. But that being said, I wanted to take a moment to publicly thank our county commissioners for the additional allocation that they gave us. And I will inform you all that the majority of that is going to be taken up by those raises. Just to kind of cover a little bit of what was in there. They have increased the health care requirement. Now, this is per employee. So the employer, we have to now pay $8,925 per employee per year for their health care benefits. So that's going to be wrapped up. That's about a $500 increase per employee from what it was last year. So that's going to take up some of that $325,000, allotment that they gave us. The retirement contribution has went up to 26.1%. So you guys can do the math. 26.1% of every salary that we pay to people is now going to be an additional thing that we have to pay, which last year it was at 25.4, I believe. So it went up 0.7%. It doesn't sound like much, but when you're talking about multi-million dollars in salaries, it kind of grows rather quickly. And then the remaining portion of that $325,000, we will be allocating that to the general operational cost because of some of our electrical bills, of course, but those increases that the state approved 2 years ago, those bills continue to get higher. So all that said, yes, we're thankful for the $325,000 additional allotment, but the majority of it is going to be eaten up by said raises. The second component of that budget increase that I wanted to talk about briefly was we did request a bus driver supplement program to try to entice more people to drive a bus. We've had some situations throughout this year where we've had some buses sitting in the morning because a driver would call in if we didn't have any sub drivers, or we may not have had a driver for that specific bus. So in conversations with Mr. Manus at the county admin building, we talked about a supplement program to try to, again, entice bus drivers to take on additional duties and take on a bus route. So what we kind of came up with was a $750 annual stipend paid out monthly so that they don't have to wait. They go ahead and start getting their money at each pay period. So if a person elects to drive a full bus route, that person starting in August will get a $75 stipend or supplement to drive that bus on top of what they get paid to drive the bus. At this point, we don't know if the program will work, but the hope is that it will entice some people to actually take on either a part-time or a full-time bus route. So, hypothetically, if I take a morning route and Miss Epps takes an afternoon route, then we would both get $37.50 a month because we're only doing a half a route. So it will be prorated based upon how much, we're going to be driving the bus. And then I also wanted to give an update. We have finally secured a transportation director. He will be starting next week. So he will be kind of overseeing the program and helping us with that recruitment piece to get more bus drivers. And then the last update that I have for tonight is I wanted to announce, I know y'all been hearing about this for a very long time, but the voice over IP phone system, they actually started installing phones today. So that has finally been pushed down the line, and we are actually getting those phones installed. They're going to focus on office phones and the teacher workrooms where there are phones existing, and then they will migrate out and start putting them in the classrooms. And the hope is that by the first month of school, all of these phones will be in classrooms and everything will be fully operational with a district-wide voice over IP phone system. That's all I've got.
Awesome. All right, we will now move into closed session. I need a motion.
So moved.
A second. 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 I was just making sure Tasha
heard me.
Yeah. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Bathroom break.
Well, I think
We'll
we
have
need to
to-
do
Okay, we're waiting for
we'll have to
Dr.
find
Robledo,
some other
so.
program, which we'll talk about it on the camera, talk back on.
Okay.
Because we did do a survey and collectively, you know, it was.
Don't say it yet.
It was like, Matt might want to turn us back on.
Okay. Welcome back. We are now going back into open session. And we will, have a discussion on some of the consent agenda items that, some board members had some questions about. We are looking at the, what number is that, or letter is that? K, requesting approval of curriculum renewals exceeding $50,000.
Yes.
Next question.
So I had some questions.
Okay.
From the document that was in our packet, it says that the department also requests renewing our Ready for grades K-8. I know it's probably not, a very popular thing, but I've read and listened to a lot of things on Instagram about our Ready. And, I just want to make sure that we are spending our money appropriately and not just having kids on a device. So talk to me a little bit about what is already used for specifically. Is it just a screener in our district?
So there's multiple components there. So there is the instructional piece, there is the teacher toolbox that has resources. But the primary thing that we use it for is the screener because it does give us feedback on where the students are performing. And then inside the teacher toolbox, the teacher can go inside that teacher toolbox and pull specific individualized plans for the kids based upon how they perform on the diagnostic. The old days of 45 minutes every day on iReady going through those lessons, that is not happening anymore. Because we have moved past that part. So we do not use iReady for that anymore. It is predominantly just used for the screeners and the diagnostic tools, and then the teacher toolbox that gives you the data back from the students and helps you shape a more individualized plan for the kids.
Is the toolbox, are the resources in the toolbox specifically digital in nature, or are there some hands-on type activities that can be used rather than on the device?
There are some things that the teacher can print off for the kids, so it's not solely tied to the device. And if y'all want to table it, the August 3rd, we have it for a little while longer, and we can always request an extension on it. If you want us to have a presentation in August on what some of those resources look like, be more than happy to bring that back so we can table this piece. And I can have Dr. Perkins come do a presentation on what all of that stuff looks like, and then we can make a decision at the August meeting, because we'll still have time.
Well, let's do that, because also it says here that teachers requested more hands-on and reduced unnecessary assessments and screen time. So we need to listen to our teachers.
Yes, I agree.
All right, thank you.
And I am all for reducing screen time.
Okay.
So I am a proponent of that.
All right.
So do we need,
So with that,
right, I'd like to make a motion then, is that right? A
Motion
to
this matter be tabled
table.
to the next meeting in August.
Yeah.
Somebody make that.
Pending a presentation on the materials.
all right, so Ms. Evan has made a
And
motion.
also, one question can
Yes,
I
sir.
add to that, just including some of the teacher feedback about the math curriculum as
Mhm.
well, because I brought that up.
I have
See
all of that right
Yeah,
here.
in the fall and in the spring. That's
So we did do a survey recently, and we also looked at the impact of the curriculum. So across the board, except for a couple little areas, we saw improvements in math district-wide at the elementary level. We did not see that at the middle school level. So if you notice, the revision on the math curriculum is that we will only do K-5. We will not do 6-8 because we did not see the gains that were anticipated. And we got feedback from the teachers at the middle school level that they wanted to use a platform called Maneuvering the Middle. And so we have gotten a quote on that, and it is less than 50,000, so it wouldn't go before you guys, but it may be in that document. I can't remember if it was articulated in there or not. But we're moving away from the Desmos math at the middle school because the teachers didn't like it and we did not see the gains. The feedback that Dr. Perkins received from the teachers, I wouldn't say that it was unanimous, but it was the majority of teachers said that if we use the program and we follow its pacing versus the pacing of our curriculum maps, which did not align with the math, because that's where a lot of the issues came from, because we had our district maps, but the curriculum said this, and at the time, previous leadership said we had to follow the maps and not follow the curriculum, which made it very difficult to implement. But that's why we thought that with the gains that we saw without the alignment, if we actually aligned to the curriculum, we were wanting to see whether or not we saw even larger gains and give it one more year of implementation to see where we're at the end of this school year.
And the plan would be, if it was brought back, to align it with the curriculum.
Yes,
rather than
we would align our maps to the curriculum,
Right.
yes. Mhm.
And is there a way to also include any other districts in the state that are using it and what, like, some of their publicly available test data is as well?
Last
We
year,
took it a year after another school system, and so they've had it 2 to 3 years now. Like, what's their data looking like?
yes. So if you want to table that one as well, we will pull some other district data. We'll have that ready for the August meeting as well.
Do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
I will second.
All right, so I'm gonna just do the motion so Ms. Medley has it for the minutes. So you are making a motion to table letter K
correct.
until the August meeting when we have a presentation,
Yes.
okay? And then we have a second from Dr. Robledo. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, so now we'll move back to the consent agenda that includes everything but letter K. Is there any other questions before we move forward with this vote?
It was math. Was that part
That's
of
the math, yes, sir.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, sir. All right, I need a motion for the consent agenda minus letter K. All right, Mr. Blake, do I have a second? Second, Ms. Taylor. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A second? Ms. Taylor is the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Our next board meeting is August 3rd. We have the back to school bash, July 21st. I have the 23rd of my head, but it's July 21st.
Well, that was the 23rd.
Oh, really?
It's the 21st, Tuesday.
I missed that.
And we're stepping the bus on the 16th, so if you don't mind, any people in the community.
So if you want to come sweat, 2 opportunities.
Or if you want to bring supplies.
What time's the night?
Is it 5 o'clock?
It's 5 to 7.
5 to 7.
Oh, 5 to 7.
When did we get that
Stepping the
changed?
bus is out Walmart and
It's
gonna be between
completely.
The parking lot, the bus will be,
It's between Kirk's and Town Hall. It'll be, why was the donut on
Yeah,
it? That little.
that little old church station. Also Mount Gilead with, in coordination with Dreams and Focus and the Gator, Bridge, we'll be doing our usual backpack giveaway. And that's August the 1st. It's a Saturday, so. Lots of opportunities at Mount Gilead Elementary. We usually do it at our
I was
church.
gonna say, it's usually at church.
Yeah, but this year we're doing it at